Hi Cook Along friends, it's Chef Diane. Thanks so much for cooking along with me today. How's everyone doing? I hope that you are all ready to make a super yummy, easy recipe that you will be able to master right away. You can make this recipe over and over again, and it's a family favorite of mine. Actually, we created this recipe after we tried the Trader Joe's Japanese stir-fried rice that's in the frozen section, and we decided that we wanted to make our own stir-fried rice. So I'm going to give you a lot of tips on how to make a delicious stir-fry, how to saute. Our key skill here that we're learning today is sauteing, and how you can make this dish in under 20 minutes. So let's talk about what we'll need to get ready. So of course the first thing we want to do is wash our hands. So I've already washed my hands, and I hope that you've all washed your hands as well. And then we are going to look at our ingredients. Now, when I posted on Facebook the ingredients, I wrote a reminder that you're going to need to have cooked short grain rice, Japanese style rice, they call it as well. And the reason why you want it cooked is because it's not going to cook in the pan with the other vegetables. It's just going to get flash fried in some oil and have some sesame or some soy sauce added to it to give it flavor. And it needs to be cold. If it goes into the pan right out of the rice cooker into the pan, it will be mushy and it won't have the consistency. It won't be able to really get coated with oil and soak in the flavor. So you want to have some cooked and chilled short grain rice. Now I made mine in an Instapot, and I'm going to actually write the Instapot rice directions in the comments below. So in case you are just watching this and you haven't made your rice yet, you'll have a chance to use your Instapot if you have one. You can also just go to the sushi restaurant and pick up some sushi rice to go or some steamed rice to go, and then put it in your refrigerator, have it there overnight, and it's ready for you the next day. So rice is our main component for our sticky stir-fried rice with edamame and seaweed. That's our recipe today. Sticky stir-fried rice with edamame and seaweed. The other thing that you're going to need is a big carrot or 2 small ones. You'll need a knob of fresh ginger and 1 clove of garlic. Soy sauce, I'm using the light soy sauce that has less sodium. You could also, if you're gluten-free, you could use coconut amino, or you can use tamari. So you can make this gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian friendly, all of the above. It ticks a lot of boxes. Also, we're going to need sesame oil. So sesame oil is the fat that you'll be sauteing in today. Seaweed snack. So those are a little tray of the snack that you can buy at the market. You'll probably need about a half of a tray, and we're just going to crumble those up and put them into our stir fry. And half a cup of frozen edamame out of the shell. So you don't want them in the shell. And then for equipment, this is a super easy recipe. It just requires a box grater and a microplane. So little ones can do this recipe as well. I say 4 and above with parental help. You know, sometimes the little ones can do these recipes, but they just need parental help along the way. But this one's really easy. They're just going to grate a carrot. We're going to grate our ginger and our garlic on these 2 tools. I have a chef's knife out here just in case I need to cut anything, but I don't think we're going to need to cut anything. Some measuring spoons, a vegetable peeler, and a cutting board. So all we have to do to get started, we'll be cooking in a skillet or a saute pan or a wok. So this is my wok that I'm using, and the key to this wok is I have to get it really, really hot before I can put any of the food in it. But the food has to be already prepared. So we're gonna do what we call mise en place. So that's a French word that means everything in place. So with a stir fry like this, when you're working with hot oil, you wanna make sure that everything is cut and prepared before it goes into your pan. Also have a stirring utensil ready to go. And if you want to keep your hand protected, you can have an oven mitt to hold onto your handle. But make sure if you're using an oven mitt and you have a gas stovetop that you do not let the oven mitt touch your gas flame. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the first thing that we'll need to do. We already have our rice prepared. And then we're gonna take our carrot and we're gonna peel it. So vegetable peeler, hold on to the end of the carrot, and I just leave this on here to use it as a handle. I don't cut it off because then when I get close to grating it, my hand gets close. I'm still gonna have something to hold on to. So hold on to that and then grip your peeler really, really strongly and then peel onto something that won't be messy. So sometimes I go right into a trash can or I go into a garbage bowl. I'm gonna go onto my cutting board, or you can go into the sink. But we just wanna get that peel off. And you know what, if you didn't peel it would still be okay too, because the peel is good for you. It's full of all kinds of nutrients. I just think sometimes it turns brown when it cooks and it doesn't look as pretty. But if you didn't want a peeler, you didn't have a peeler, it's fine, just fine with the peel on as well. Just make sure you scrub it. I already washed this carrot, so you just gotta scrub it, get all the dirt off of it, and then clean as you go. So I'm cleaning away my cutting board. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the big teeth on the box grater, and the box grater has a handle on top, so you put it on top of whatever you're grating onto, hold it strong, and then hold on to your food so your hand stays away from those teeth on the grater because they're sharp. So you just rub it up and down. Now this would be a great dish if you had some garden vegetables that you wanted to put into a stir fry. So maybe if you had some broccoli or some zucchini, you want to add to it as well. It'd be absolutely delicious. So this is another one of those dishes that you can customize to your taste. I have an awfully big carrot, but if you don't have a big carrot, you could do too. Now I'm starting to get closer to my handle here. Now I have to be careful of my fingers. And once I get so close that my hand is close to the grater, then I'm gonna stop. I always like to get that farm fresh vegetables into the dishes we make here on our cook along. So here's our first veggie. You can just put that to the side on your cutting board. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grate our ginger. So ginger comes in a big knobby root, like this in the market. And some of these knobs will be hard for us to get the skin off, so I'm just gonna take them off the root. You can just snap them, or you can cut them with a knife if you like. And then it has a very thin, bumpy skin. And that thin, bumpy skin is a little bit hard to get off with the vegetable peeler. It'll come off, but because there's so many nooks and crannies, it's sometimes hard to use the vegetable peeler on it. So what I use is a teaspoon. So this is a teaspoon. I actually have it out because we're gonna taste our rice to make sure it's seasoned enough, but I'm gonna use this one to peel a piece of ginger, and it looks like this. Put the flat side of the ginger down on your cutting board, and then you just rub along the side of the ginger, and it takes that thin, bumpy skin off. We only need an inch of ginger. So now my ginger is all peeled, just an inch that I'm going to use on the grater. Take away all that peel. And I'm going to take my microplane, remembering that my teeth on this microplane are really sharp. I'm going to put the tip down on the cutting board, make sure that it's nice and stable, and then I'm just going to rub the ginger along the microplane. So then I have this nice big piece so I can hold on to it without my fingers getting in the way. And when you grate it, it's not going to look like much. So 1 inch of ginger, probably gonna be about a teaspoon of ginger, but that's all we need. This is a great way to mince up ginger because ginger has a lot of fiber in it and it breaks down the fiber. So after you have grated your ginger, you just take your microplane and you tap it on the cutting board. So just tap, tap, tap. Now I'm also going to add a link in case you don't have a microplane. I'm going to add a link in the comments below so you can find out where to get one, because it is really one of the tools that we use a lot in our cook-alongs. You use your finger to get that ginger off too. And then I have about a teaspoon of ginger. So it looks like that. And then next we have garlic clove. So here's a whole clove of garlic. I need to get the skin off. Sometimes the easiest way to take the skin off is to smash it a little bit with a chef's knife. So you just take your hand with your fingers curled up and you just use your palm and very gently just use your body to give a little pressure till you hear it crack. And once it cracks, it's just going to be easier to get that skin off. So here we go. See, I can peel it now. And make sure you get all that papery skin off and away from your food, because you don't want to end up with that in your food. And that gets grated on the microplane, just like the ginger did. Oops, I have a little piece of skin on my cutting board. I'm going to get that off. Again, this is going to be about, make sure when you get close, when it gets close, just don't bother grating that. Just put that in your scrap bowl. So again, this is going to be about a teaspoon. Here's a teaspoon. So here's our mise en place along with our edamame and our seaweed snack. And then we can just start measuring the sesame oil and the soy sauce as we go. All right, so here comes the fun part. We're gonna heat up our pan and get it ready for our saute. The word saute in French, the verb sauter means to jump. So we wanna make sure that our pan is hot enough so that our food jumps right out of the pan when we put it in. So have an adult turn on your stove to medium high, and then you'll need to check the pan with your hand 3 inches above the pan. Don't get that elbow close to the rim of the pan. 3 inches above. And once you feel heat radiating, then we'll measure our tablespoon of sesame oil into the pan. So while that's heating, we'll just talk about our fat that we're using today. So for a saute, you can use butter, you can use olive oil, avocado oil. The one thing that you want to be mindful of is the heat point of the oil that you're using. So what that means is that some oils burn faster than other oils do. So some oils that have fewer solids will hold a high heat higher without burning the food. So today we're using a toasted sesame oil, and one thing I like to do when you open it, just give it a smell. It smells so toasty and delicious. But this is a lower smoke point oil. So we want to make sure that once that oil goes in, we're ready to get started with our stir frying. Now I asked you to make sure a parent was turning on your stove and off your stove. Now when you're older, 13 up, you can do that all on your own. My daughter's 15 years old. She does all of her own cooking now. She can go to the refrigerator and look in there and find out what she wants to make now that she's learned recipes. She doesn't have to follow them anymore. She's very conscious about food safety. So, but when you're younger, you will need some parental support while you're learning how to cook. But once you learn, you're going to be such a big help to your parents, because you can take over making dinner for the night, or when you go to college, you won't have to worry about eating takeout all the time. You can just cook for all your roommates, and it's just such a great skill. So right now we're focusing on this skill sauteing. I feel the heat coming out of my pan. I'm going to measure a tablespoon of sesame oil into my wok. A wok is just like a saute pan, except that it has deeper sides, so you can keep food in there while you're stirring it. And then I always just swirl the oil around. So keep the pan on the stovetop, hold on to the handle, and swirl that oil around. And then once it's covering the bottom of the pan, we'll start with our stir fry. So the first thing that's going to go in here are our carrots. And I'm just gonna drop a little bit of carrot in because I wanna make sure that the oil is gonna really give me a lot of sizzle. And it's starting to sizzle. So I know I can just take those carrots and put them in. And then I'm ready to stir, stir, stir. You wanna keep food moving in a stir fry. So hold on to your pan handle. And then when you hold the utensil you're stirring with, you hold it like you're gonna shake somebody's hand with the stirring part up. And then you turn the elbow up and use the tip of the stirring utensil to move the food around. We're just gonna move these carrots around here for 1 minute. Now, normally in a stir fry, I'd be seasoning this with a little bit of salt and pepper, but because we're gonna be using soy sauce at the end, it might get too salty with the soy sauce. So we're gonna wait till we have all of our rice in. You should hear a good sizzle. If it gets too hot and it feels like it's sizzling too much, you can just turn your heat down. If it's not sizzling, then turn your heat up a little bit. All right, so that has been a minute. Now we are ready to go with our ginger and garlic. So ginger and garlic have high oil content, so they burn quickly. So they're very volatile. We're just gonna stir them in here and then we'll get ready to put our sticky rice in. So stir, stir, stir. Make sure that that garlic and ginger doesn't burn. So just about 10 seconds. And next will come our sticky rice. That's gonna go right into the, and be careful when you put that in there. You don't just drop it from the top because that oil can splash and burn. So just close to the pan without your hands getting close to the pan. And now we have the sticky rice in here. We have to stir this all up. So we get a little bit of oil on every piece of rice. So we break those clumps of the rice up. So I'm just stirring and breaking them up. And we'll probably be doing this for about 2 minutes. I want the carrots to combine with the rice. You could put other vegetables in here. As I mentioned, green onions would be delicious, mushrooms, if those are the vegetables that you like. Okay, keep stirring. We're almost there. Let me show you what I'm looking for. So it almost looks like ground meat, that how you break it up into little bits when you are sauteing it. That's what we're looking for. And we're gonna go here for another 30 seconds. Mine's looking nice and combined, a little toasty. I can smell the delicious ginger and garlic. All right. Next thing we need to do, measure out our soy sauce. So this is going to take 2 to 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. I say 2 to 3 because we're going to put in 2 and then we'll taste it and then we'll put in more. So here's one, and I'm going to drizzle it all over the stir fry. I'm going to keep my arms nice and high so I don't get my wrists near the pan. There's one. There's 2. And back to stirring. Hold on to your pan handle, elbow up, and combine all that together. The ginger and garlic are called aromatics. They're the foundation of what's going to make it taste good and smell good. Now I've stirred in all that soy sauce, I'm going to give this a little taste and see if I need to season it anymore. So clean tasting spoon, little teeny tiny bit, low. Be careful because it's going to be hot. I think 2 tablespoons is perfect. So the next thing I do is I'm going to put in my edamame. So 1/2 cup of edamame goes in. that gets all stirred together. This is frozen edamame. So just the heat of the rice is going to cook that through. If it's defrosted, you can just stir it in and be ready to go. Mine's slightly defrosted because I had it sitting out in the here. And then last but not least, we're going to crumble 3 tablespoons or about 3 sheets of these seaweed snacks. So just take our fingers, crumble, crumble, crumble. Let's turn down the heat on this so we don't burn anything. So we're going to do about 3 sheets. This is going to give it lots of delicious flavor. And there's different flavors of seaweed snacks. You might want to be experimentative and use your favorite flavor if it's not just the regular. This is teriyaki actually that I'm using. I think the teriyaki is going to be delicious with it. And then final stir here. And as easy as that, we have our sticky stir-fried rice with edamame and seaweed. Something that you have in your cabinets and refrigerator almost all the time. So you can whip this up anytime. It's great as a snack. It's great as a lunch or side order for dinner. And here we go. There's that sticky stir-fried rice with edamame and seaweed. I hope that you enjoy it. And I love cooking along with me. I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. We're doing our next cook along, and I will see you then. Thanks so much, friends. Bye.